Hey, if you've ever felt like Capital One makes no sense, you're not crazy. They just don't explain how their system actually works. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down 8 things Capital One will never tell you. And once you understand these, a lot of the confusion will go away because you can have great credit, pay everything on time, do everything right, and still get stuck with low limits or denied for cards you should qualify for. It's like you followed the instructions perfectly and still got the wrong answer. I'm going to show you what's actually going on behind the scenes so you can stop guessing and start making smarter moves. Now, quick heads up before we jump in, if you're applying for cards like this, the worst thing you can do is guess and rack up hard inquiries. That's basically the credit version of throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, except the spaghetti costs you points. So we put together a free credit card pre-approval master list. It shows you which cards you can check with no hard pull so you can see your odds before you apply. Click the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and get access to it for free. This is the biggest frustration. If you start with a low limit, there's a good chance it stays low. People call this getting bucketed. So you might get approved when your credit isn't great, maybe a 500 or 1,000 limit. Then years later, your score is in the 700s, everything looks great, and your card is still stuck. That's because the account is tied to the version of you when you applied, not who you are today. And yeah, it's not exactly motivating. The real move is to apply for a new card when your credit is strong. That's how you can break out of the cycle. Most banks have some kind of reconsideration line. You call, explain your situation, maybe get a second look. Capital One? Yeah, not really. Their system is almost entirely automated. If the algorithm says no, it's a no. There's no magic phone call that changes everything. No convincing a human. No, let me speak to a manager. It's just data. So instead of trying to fix it after the fact, you need to set it up right before you apply. This one surprises people. You can bank with them for years, multiple cards, checking account, perfect payment history. You're thinking you've built a relationship. Capital One is like, cool, but we're still going off the data. They don't reward loyalty the way traditional banks do. Everything is based on your current profile. So again, it's not about history with them. It's about how your profile looks right now. There's a soft cap of around 5 Capital One cards. It's not always exact, but it's close enough that you need to think about it. Because if you fill these slots with lower tier cards early, you can limit yourself later when you want better cards. And I've seen this happen to people time and time again. They grab whatever they can get approved for, they realize later they can't upgrade their setup the way they want, so be intentional. Don't just collect cards, build a strategy. This one catches a lot of people off guard. See, Capital One business cards report to your personal credit. So if you're running high spend through your business, that shows up as utilization on your personal report, even if you pay it off. So you could spend $20,000 this month and your score dips temporarily just because of utilization, which is always a fun surprise. Most business cards don't do this. Capital One does. So if you're a business owner, you need to factor this in. This is one of the easiest wins. Capital One has a hidden upgrade page where you can check if you qualify to move to a better card. No hard pull, no phone call, and it takes about 30 seconds. You can remove annual fees or move into a more useful card. Now, you won't get a sign-up bonus. And if you're stuck in a low bucket, your limit probably won't change. But if you're paying a fee for no reason, this is a no-brainer move. They do offer pre-approval, and it's helpful, but it's not a guarantee. It's based on high-level data, not a full approval decision. So just because you see an offer doesn't mean it's locked in. And just because you don't see one doesn't always mean you won't get approved. Think of it as a strong signal, not a promise. Still way better than applying blind. Capital One is also stricter than people realize when it comes to applications. Typically, you can get approved for one card at a time. Sometimes there needs to be a gap between applications. So if you're trying to stack multiple cards quickly, Capital One is not the best bank for that. They slow things down, which again just means you need to plan ahead instead of rushing it. So here's the simple way to think about Capital One. They're great in two situations. If you're rebuilding credit, they're one of the more forgiving banks. And if you have excellent credit, their higher tier cards can be really solid. But that middle zone, that's where people get stuck. You might get approved, but for lower limits than you'd get somewhere else. So sometimes the smarter move is to build your profile with other banks first. Then come back to Capital One when your credit is stronger. Oh, and one more thing, always use pre-approval before applying with Capital One, because remember, they often hit all 3 credit bureaus, and that's not something you want to guess on, right? If you want to check your options first without taking a hit, grab the free pre-approval master list below. Once you understand how they work, this stops feeling random and starts feeling strategic. Hey, if this helped you understand how Capital One actually works, make sure to subscribe. I break down credit strategies like this so you can avoid mistakes and get approved faster. If you got value from this, please hit that like button. It really helps the video reach more people. And if you've ever been stuck with Capital One, I'm curious what your experience has been. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments. If you want to play this smarter, grab the pre-approval master list before you apply for anything. And I'll see you in the next one.